I'm here to inspire, uplift, and help you start your week on the right foot as a change maker. All of our change makers are making the world a better place, one business, one community, one nonprofit, one book, one speech at a time. And so today, I want to talk to you about a topic that's near and dear to my heart. My first book was about this in many ways, and it's about how do we shift from scarcity mindset in our healing to abundance so that it's ingrained and integrated into our routine instead of just like a task that we have on our calendar, which is a really difficult pivot for a lot of folks to have because of the way that we practice medicine here and look to doctors for solutions. So I want to want to kind of like disrupt your thinking around your healing process. So, have you ever felt like your healing journey is stuck on repeat? Or like there's always one little missing piece of the puzzle, one magic bullet that you could, put into your, I don't know, like a supplement, an exercise that's going to finally get you to where you want to be. And you still keep chasing that thing. The needle keeps moving further and further along. Well, this is why a lot of high performing leaders and performers get stuck in their healing approach because they are so used to crushing it and getting it right that they assume that scheduling self care or just checking something off the list is going to work. But ultimately, the answer is really more around our approach to healing and our mindset around healing. And this also kind of applies to our business, right? So if we're trying to do something in a specific way and our thinking isn't right or our energy isn't right, then our intention and our intuition are going to be out of alignment. And thus, we're going to end up choosing the wrong journey, the wrong road forward. So if you've ever thought, I don't have time or energy to properly heal, you're not alone, right? There are some really hidden costs to not feeling enough or not enough healing. And when we think about this not enough approach, or something's wrong, or something's broken, or something's just ultimately wrong with my body, my thinking, whatever that thinking path is for you, of course, this is a drain. That negative thinking is an energetic drain alone. So, scarcity mindset in our healing process shows up as I don't have enough time or I don't have enough energy, and I'll focus on healing later. So, that's what scarcity healing sounds like or feels like. And the cost of that is that you're constantly chasing external fixes. You might see an Instagram reel on try this supplement or do this one exercise and it's the magic silver bullet to everything. You've been there. I've been there. When in reality, it's reactive when we're in scarcity instead of restorative. And we're never in regeneration in this, right? So when healing is framed as a deficit, that not enough mindset, the system never feels safe enough to recover. And so how do we fix this, right? Well, first of all, let's talk about how scarcity sneaks into the mindset of high performers and our approach to healing, okay? So, high achievers are trained to push through. And I know y'all, you're listening to this, you're change makers, you're trying to make the world a better place. You're typically high performers, high achievers. And we think, oh, this should be easy. We should be able to fix this the way that we've fixed other things. And we just think we can check it off the list, right? Well, that's when healing gets treated like a checklist or a temporary project or to get it over quickly, then that's scarcity healing, and it's not integrated in a way that's going to create true healing that sticks and lasts, right? Because it's reinforcing the belief that something is wrong or something is ultimately broken. So, in terms of some real life examples here, this shows up as overscheduling self care, but not actually listening to what the body needs and shifting and pivoting based on that. It's also constantly switching and pivoting methods instead of allowing full integration and trusting your intuition by listening to your body and what it needs daily or in the moment. And also, you might measure your productivity of healing, measure your healing by productivity instead of how you're showing up and your presence as a leader. Scarcity and healing isn't loud. It's subtle, normalized, and often praised in our society. And that's why, as high performers, we try to kind of like blast past that um, healing the thing that is so called broken or stuck versus creating true integration and curiosity around that. So, when we look at scarcity versus abundance and healing, what are the differences? Well, when we look at scarcity healing, it's more reactive, it's focused on fixing, it's driven by urgency. We have to get this done really, really fast, and you're always chasing the next solution. Sound familiar? I get stuck there too. You're not alone. You are not alone. Whereas abundance based healing is proactive, it's focused on our capacity and our peak form. If you guys listen to the Hazel Finley interview, it's rooted in choice and creativity, right? We're being creative, we're having fun with the healing journey, and it expands possibilities instead of narrowing them. So you're not feeling stuck or backed into a corner. You feel excited, expanded, and creative. You're making your healing journey fun because everything we do and everything we try to change or grow requires curiosity and play. Otherwise, it gets put on the back burner because it's not fun anymore. So, abundance and healing doesn't mean ignoring reality. It really means expanding how you respond to your current reality. So, if we make a conscious choice in terms of our healing, what does that look like? Okay. So, healing shifts when leaders stop asking, "What am I missing?" If we're asking, "What am I missing? What's wrong with me?" And instead, we start asking, "What choice today supports me in my healing journey so that I can grow and expand as a conscious leader?" How do we shift from what's missing or what's broken to what supports me today? Abundance is not passive optimism, and ironically enough, I'm wearing a shirt that says optimist because I am an eternal optimist. But it really is about intentional, intuitive decision making, and that requires listening to the body. It requires not tuning out, not numbing out, which is very challenging. So I understand that, right? It's challenging to be fully present, especially if you have physical pain. But I've noticed more and more in my journey when I sit with my pain and breathe into my pain and ask what it's trying to tell me, it releases faster and my intuition and body know what it needs. So instead of trying to push away negative emotions or negative pain, if we sit with it and listen to it, it usually gives us the answer pretty quickly. And so, why are we talking about this, right? Well, as leaders, if we don't know how to show up and take care of ourselves and our bodies, and especially as entrepreneurs and business owners and change makers in the world, we have tremendous pressure on ourselves. And so, if we don't show up and take excellent care of our bodies, if we're not excellent stewards of our health, we're not setting an example that's going to stick for our employees or our customers, or for those of you who have a community, your community, or your readers, or your audience. And so we want to walk the talk of what we're teaching. And that starts with excellent health because our health creates the foundation for our energy. Our energy creates the foundation for our impact. And if we don't have health and energy, we can't have as big of an impact because we simply won't have capacity to go there. We won't have capacity to be curious, to be vulnerable, to have the solution for those who follow us. So, how do we create an abundance based healing framework, right? If we're trying to reprogram this and really get into abundance with our healing, which applies to healing in our business, not just our health, what does that kind of framework look like? want you to ask yourself is, what am I reacting to right now? So if you're like either trying to heal a specific injury, working on a pain issue, or maybe it's even a mental issue or a thinking issue, what am I reacting to right now when that comes up? What am I reacting to? Is it stress? Is it pressure? Is it fear? Is it expectation? Is it physical pain? What are you reacting to right now? That's question one. Question two, what would an abundant response look like? Oftentimes, when we're sick, we're injured, we're in pain, we're stressed, our thinking is stinking. Any of these things, they put us into scarcity easily because for a lot of us, this triggers fear or a stress response because our brains naturally go into this kind of protection, fight or flight mode. And in the past, that was meant to protect us when we lived in caves and protected ourselves from tigers. But now it's just there and it's still meant to protect us, but oftentimes it's triggered inappropriately. So if we think and step back from that pain after we've listened to it, what would an abundant response look like? And that's kind of where we activate our curiosity and our creativity and our play. It's not about going bigger or harder. It's just finding a more supportive, more playful, more feeling good response to that injury, that pain, that sadness, whatever that thing is. So, two is, what would an abundant response look like? Three, what is one conscious choice I can make today? So, when we talk about a conscious choice, this means once we understand what an abundant response would look like, what is a conscious choice based on these abundant response options that I have that I can choose intentionally to make today? It needs to be small, doable, and regulating. And it should feel good. If you're looking at multiple options from question two, maybe visualize stepping into each of them and see which one feels most expansive, most supportive, and most even fun or playful. We want to make this a pleasurable experience because growth and shifting this, when it's not fun or, expansive, then why would we do it, right? We wouldn't. Healing is not about doing everything right. It's about consistently choosing what restores your capacity, what regulates your nervous system, and allows you to get back into the amazing boss, the amazing leader that you are. And these small conscious choices compound faster than these extreme interventions. A lot of times when we go to the doctor and they give us a diagnosis that has a lifestyle and life changing consequences, that feels overwhelming and it creates like this almost brick wall where you're like, time out, whoa, this is too much. And as we know from previous interviews or episodes, the solution to overwhelm is to break it down, right? So if we can break down those lifestyle changes into smaller things that are more playful, more creative, more fun, and they feel good to our nervous system, then we're going to be able to tangibly make these lifestyle changes in a way that sticks versus in a way that makes us feel stuck in a corner or overwhelmed. So, the whole idea here and my Changemaker challenge to you this week, I want you to name one area of healing where you've been operating from scarcity. And then I want you to choose one abundant action that you can take this week. You have two options for this challenge this week. You can write it down privately, or, if you feel really excited and empowered and want some accountability, put it in the chat, share in the chat, post whatever platform you're listening to here, put in the chat where you've been in scarcity and what is that conscious, abundant decision you're making today. I really want to hear your response here because awareness itself is progress. And when we can support each other in our awareness and in our steps forward, we grow together. And this creates that momentum in a community container, and that is powerful. I want to share a story about how this shows up for me. So, in particular, recently, because the weather systems have been up and down and crazy and hot and cold, I have been getting a lot of migraines, and they are very debilitating. They make my thinking not as regulated. I feel brain foggy, it makes me exhausted, but they also bring up this old storyline of, oh my gosh, this is going to become a perpetual problem. Or they're going to become so debilitating and so frequent that I won't be able to, whatever that is, be able to run my business, be able to climb, to be able to, you fill in the blank. And it creates this spiral, which is, hey, scarcity around, oh my goodness, I can't stick to my normal plan. But when that starts to happen, the pivot that I make now is usually when I recognize this fast enough, if I notice the migraine and take the medication and lay down and take a nap and do an intentional breath work visualization practice, not pushing the migraine away, but breathing into the pain and asking it what it's trying to tell me, asking it what triggered it, and then asking it what it needs, my body tells me the answers to all these things. And when I do this, it's usually my body telling me I need to rest. And it doesn't mean it needs to be for days. It's like, hey, you need to take a nap for an hour. You're pushing too hard. You're creating a lot of stress. You're working too many hours. You're not navigating that stress well. And each migraine has a different lesson. But I never learned that lesson if I didn't pivot out of scarcity, because I'm human. I still get into scarcity, but I can recognize it faster. And then I can get back into abundance and curiosity and learning. And that's really what I want you to take from here is, regardless of your health or whatever the trigger is, when you're in scarcity, we cannot solve things very well. When you're in abundance, there's nothing that can limit you because the answers are already there. It just requires that we stop and listen to our intuition, stop, connect with our community, stop listening to the fear, and instead listen to creativity and curiosity. And that is where we learn. And that is exciting. Okay. So to wrap up, I just want to recap this. We've talked about all the triggers, all of the telltale signs of when we're in scarcity, mostly today around health, but this applies to your business. When you see the sales pipeline get slower, you see that your runway is less, you have all these pressures as an entrepreneur and a business owner, it's easy to get into a scarcity mindset. But if we get onto sales calls or calls with our team for training them in a scarcity mindset and a scarcity energy, people feel that and it impacts your sales, it impacts your employees. So let's be the change makers we're meant to be. Let's step into abundance and let's stay and hold that abundant space because that's where healing happens. And that's where businesses build traction and momentum, because when you're in abundance, you can hear your employees, you can hear your customers, and that helps you stay ahead of where you need to pivot in your business. So you can see how this health piece connects to the business strategy. I hope that that was very powerful for you today. So today we already had our Changemaker challenge. I hope many of you add that comment to the, add that your note to the comments. Remember, healing does not require perfection. It requires presence and choice. It does require being with the pain, being with the discomfort, and then pivoting into the solution. Abundance begins the moment you stop fighting yourself. When we're stuck in scarcity, fear, and rabbit holes and rabbit stories, that's where we're fighting ourselves. When we can pivot into creativity and curiosity and learning, that is where miracles happen. And that is where I want all of you every single day. All right. If you found this powerful today, please subscribe. We have a weekly email list for you to see what we're going to be speaking about the following week. Also, folks on that list can share ideas for topics they want me to cover each week. In the future, we might also have some guests on here. So join that list early so that we can maybe bring some hot seat folks on in the future. And then if you feel really stuck today and this is something you are really feeling challenged around, we have that overcome your business blockers worksheet. So just put biz blockers in the comments and somebody on my team will get that over to you. Next week, we're going to have a full on producer here with us. My marketing manager, Rajabal, will be joining us to share more of these links live so that on the replay, if you see it, you can just grab those links. You can see QR codes, you can see other things. It'll be fancier as we get more and more into this. I hope you found this useful, and I hope that this is helping you start an amazing start for your week. I'm really excited to see you each crush this and to really stand in abundance consistently as change makers. You have this. I